Mamdani proposes raising the taxes on property owners. This is not about fulfilling a hole, not just a hole in the budget. This is about him funding illegals. People did not read beyond that. And you're using the Black community, hardworking Black African-American taxpayers' money to fund billions of dollars to go into illegals. And that.
This is the Publisher's Desk with Damon K. Jones, brought to you by Black Westchester Magazine, where life, culture, community, and faith meet truth, power, and purpose.
Peace and blessings, everybody. This is Damon K. Jones here, and welcome to another edition of the Publisher's Desk. And I'm Black Westchester publisher Damon K. Jones, and this is powered by Black Westchester Magazine and blackwestchester.com. And today we have my sister on. I've been trying to get on for a long time because we've been having conversations, but also the New York City politics. This young lady here is on the ground. She's speaking truth to power, and she's making everything happen in New York City. And she's exposing a lot of things that's going on in New York. And she has been an outspoken critic of the Democratic Socialist movement. She's been an outspoken critic against the newly elected Mayor Mamdani. So without further ado, I want to bring my sister on, Latina Brown. Welcome,
Hi.
Sister. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Damon, and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for having me on, and sorry that it's taken so long for me to come on. A lot of things has been happening behind the scenes, but I'm grateful to be here.
Yes, and I'm glad you could, spend some time. We're going to go over a couple of subjects that I know you've been outspoken about, and there's other things that you told me. You said it's about to drop. And it dropped, so we're going to have a conversation, about that. But let's start, sis, because you have been an outspoken critic against the Democratic Socialist movement and Mayor Mamdani, and a lot of things that you have said have come true. How and representing the Bronx and representing the people in the Bronx, how do you feel about his mayorship to this point?
I think at this point, Mayor Mamdani gets a full-on F for failure. This is someone, and we've spoke about this in the past before he, won the general election. This is someone who is inexperienced, unqualified, and unfit to lead a city of millions of people, and you're dealing with billions of dollars in a budget. And we warned everybody about the consequences of voting for someone because they promise you freebies. That freebies, it comes from somewhere, right? And that is at the expense of taxpayers. So I give him a full-on F. There's been overall 25 plus homeless people that died under his leadership during that snowstorm. And that in itself proves that he is not only unfit to lead, but he is also a danger to his own constituents. And I believe that number is higher because there's people who have contacted me from within the city to, bring that awareness to me. And I've been on him about that. I'm like, hey, do you even know their names? Did you reach out to their families? These are people, this is human life. And me posting that went viral, and of course he got backlash, and that's what prompted him to reach out to these families literally a week later after the deaths of the homeless people that died from hypothermia. Wow. He has no compassion. So I don't think that we're going to see brighter days ahead with him, but we can go into depth about it.
So one of the things, and I'm going to pull up a video, you were very outspoken that, the homeowners will end up paying the price for Mayor Mamdani's policies and his budget. And you tried to warn Black voters on that. And then now you see that Black voters have had a press conference, very upset about Mayor Mamdani proposing a 9.5% tax hike. Let's look at what, for people who are watching, let's look what they said. Let's bring the video up.
Southeast Queens, not holding back just days after the mayor shared his $127 billion city budget proposal.
Not even 3 months into your administration, into your term, you want to hit us with a 9.5% interest property tax increase.
Those attending the Hands Off Our Homes rally consider the proposal a complete 180 from the platform that cleared Mamdani's path to City Hall. While the mayor calls the property tax hike, one that hasn't been imposed in 15 years, a necessary last resort needed to fill the city's $5.4 billion budget gap. 3 million residential units, along with 100,000 commercial properties, fall within scope of the hike.
If we find additional savings, we will absolutely use them. However, responsibly, I cannot tell New Yorkers that that is the likelihood over these next few months.
A hike likened to an express lane to gentrification for longstanding Black and brown families in Cambria Heights, Queens.
They saved, they worked overtime so they can purchase their homes and build equity. So yes, you want to freeze rents on one set of families, but then you want to increase property taxes on another set of families. It doesn't work that way.
Mamdani says Governor Hochul and officials in Albany could bail the city out, on top of the $1.5 billion in funding announced earlier this week. While the governor shares the hike could threaten whether New Yorkers remain New Yorkers.
I'm not wavering from my position that I don't want to drive more people out of our state by increasing taxes from what is already a high tax state. I'm the one who's trying to cut taxes.
The mayor's current proposal, though, would need city council approval, which so far appears unlikely.
To be clear, that is not on the table for us. We've taken that off the table.
As residents fear being priced out of their homes, already overwhelmed with the taxes they already pay.
The taxes that we pay for that you're now trying to get more of, you want to make us do what? We're tired. We're working ourselves to bones here. We don't have it.
Well,
and what's your response to that, sis?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say the gentleman that led the protest, his name is Jonathan. Jonathan is a very good advocate. He's a very good, vocal speaker when it comes to uplifting the Black community. He's very protective over the Black community. Now, the budget. Mamdani proposes raising the taxes on property owners. This is not about fulfilling a hole, not just a hole in the budget. This is about him funding illegals. People did not read beyond that. And you're using the Black community, hardworking Black African-American taxpayers' money to fund billions of dollars to go into illegals. And that to me is shameful, is disrespectful to the people who come from generations of home ownership. This is our generational wealth, okay? And this is somebody, a foreigner who hasn't even been a citizen for less than 7 years, coming in to tell you, I'm going to come in and take what you have so that we can fund this for the illegals. How disrespectful and insulting. And we warned that this was going to happen months ago. As far as the governor is beholden to this guy because she's afraid of that DSA. Okay. Now they don't put in all of the illegals. That is their voting block. That's their voting block. They don't have no more use for the Black community anymore. We're done. Okay. The Democrats are done with us. The DSA has been infiltrated, right, by foreigners. Foreigners who are not even born citizens coming in, they want to take it over and they want to push us out. And this is why I can't stress enough, Black people got to start defending themselves and stop, letting liberals, these groups brainwash you into thinking that everything in life is free. It doesn't work that way. And to see that they're rallying now and they're waking up, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's more to come. He's not going to stop at that because he want to make sure his illegals are taken care of because that is their new voting block.
Right. Now, I forgot to add the video, but I'm going to put it in because this is pre-recorded for everybody to know. But Eric Adams last year predicted the $12 million shortfall because of the because 12 billion because of the immigrants. And you know, he said it. He said if we keep going along this route, having to take care of them, the city is going to be in a hole for $12 billion. So this money that he's trying to force Kathy Hochul to push on the rich, which I think that's crazy, because people are voting with their feet right now. They're moving out of New York.
Right.
And he's trying to force her to do that. She's not going to do it. At least not right now, because it's election time, right? And you know, we never know when they get in, you know, because they got 4 years to stay around. You never know what craziness that they might do. But it's all for illegals. And he's talking about giving illegals daycare too. So the black homeowners, you know, are going to pay for all that. And I don't understand, like, I really don't understand, if you are an elected official and you live in the city and you're voting to increase your own taxes, you know, for people that are not even American citizens. I really don't understand that. The logic that's coming down from that.
Well, I agree with you, Damon. I think that you're voting against your own demise, right? I think that they were all talking the talk, but when reality started to set in, like, hey, this guy really wants to increase taxes for, you know, us to foot the bill for it. I don't think that they realized or even thought it through that it was going to affect them as well, because they got to pay taxes too. But
Right.
to add insult to injury, you have elected officials pushing for a raise for themselves. So, you know, you got the city council want to raise their salaries to over 175K. The state senators want to raise their salaries to over $185,000. The New York State Assembly wants to raise their salaries again. And this is all for the backs of taxpayers. So you raise your salaries so you can be over a certain bracket, and you think that you're not going to pay taxes, you still got to pay the piper, right? So I think that it struck them because they're not the brightest. You have people in office who were basically flown in, propped up by DSA and say, hey, you're going to run for office, do as you were told, just shut up, look smart, we'll do all the work.
And reap the benefits.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like, don't, and if you cross us, we'll replace you, like how they did Jasmine Crockett. That's another conversation. So when they saw that he was really trying to do it, it was like city council pushed back, Speaker Menon pushed back, like, hey, this is going to affect us too. They were thinking about themselves. Because to take on that extra burden, like, they were going to feel it. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is not going to be the end all be all. And Kathy Hochul, she's going to raise the taxes. It doesn't matter what she tells the media. She is banking on getting reelected, just like how she did with congestion pricing. When she said, oh yeah, I'm not going to do it. What did she do? What did she do when she won? She did it. Because they're all pocketing on the side, allegedly. Let me say allegedly. They're all banking off of it. Don't think they're doing it from the graces of their hearts. These are people who are lining their pockets. So as soon as she wins that primary, she's going to sit out just a little bit until she gets that general. And she's going to raise the tax. I know this for a fact. And she can say, oh, I won't do what Mamdani tells me to do. She's going to do it because she needs his base.
The New York taxpayer are some of the most gullible people, you know, especially the Democrats. And, you know, and then they play on us all the time, you know, and then they just raise our taxes. They just continue to raise taxes, and nobody says anything. Like, nobody is upset, you know. And, you know, like I was saying before, property taxes is the biggest thing that makes elderly Black families lose their homes
Correct.
is property taxes. So you keep raising these taxes, the property taxes keep going up.
Right.
Our elders are on a fixed income.
Right.
And they can't afford to pay the taxes. So you really in New York, or many other states, you never own your home, right? Because you miss you miss 15,000 worth of, and they can foreclose and take your house even after it's paid for.
Yep.
It's a scam. It's a scam. And I don't understand why the left and the right are more outspoken for this, especially the left, because Black people, we vote 90% Democrat, and we're the ones catching 90% of the hell.
Maybe, and that is a very good point that you just stated. You keep voting for a party that's giving you no return. It's just vote for us, but who's benefiting from the votes? It is illegals that's benefiting from it. And it's like when you continue to take advantage and take your voting base for granted, what happens is that hopefully they'll wake up and exit the party. But I have a feeling the Black community is going to vote again for the same nonsense. I'm like, you keep voting for your own downfall. And this affects not just yourselves, but it affects your future. This guy is telling you who he is with a smile.
Exactly.
Okay? Kathy Hochul is telling you who she is with a smile. Okay?
Exactly.
And it's no secret that Kathy Hochul has said some pretty racist remarks about the Black community to our faces with a smile.
Mm-hmm.
Black kids in the Bronx don't know what a computer is. Oh, don't go spend your refund check at the liquor store now at a church, at an all-Black church.
And nobody said that. Nobody checked it. Everybody just skinned and grinned.
Like, yes, sirree. How many times do they have to tell you who they are and how they feel about us? Take, for example, with Jasmine Crockett. I was shocked, but not surprised that the party turned on her and picked her opponent, Tallarico, James Tallarico. You know why they picked him? They're going back to their usual candidates, which is Caucasian, well-spoken, looks the part, can play moderate, can play left, and he's a far lefty. They picked him over her because she was just too loud for them.
Mm-hmm.
She was just too Black for them. And they used her. She propped herself up as this hood rat ghetto woman. And that's not who she is.
Right.
Jasmine Crockett comes from a very nice background, went to a top-notch private school, grew up middle class, and she let these white liberals turn her into Baquisha, pardon my French. And she's an intelligent woman. How could you put yourself in that position?
Exactly. And even Obama endorsed Tallarico.
Yeah,
and even Obama, I did a whole for people that's watching, I did a whole video on the Jasmine Crockett loss, and I explained how the Democratic Party stabbed her in her back. And one of the things that people weren't talking about, that Obama went on a podcast and spoke highly about Tallarico, that he was the future, and these are the type of new Democrats that we needed.
Oh yeah.
So but nobody's calling him misogynistic. Nobody's saying, well, you don't like your mama. Oh, but wait a minute, Obama's mama was white.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So they're not treating him like they treated Black men who just had questions about the Democratic policy and Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
See the double standard?
Oh yeah. I mean, what they did to Jasmine Crockett, it didn't shock us because I already knew that they were just using her to try to like amplify the party. And when I did some research on James Tallarico, he is extremely left. I mean, misspeaking words about God and the Bible and what God accepts and what he doesn't accept I think is very insulting. I'm a Christian, pushing, and I support the LGBTQ community. I support them. You're free to be whoever you want to be. But
Exactly.
to promote that in the word of God, just to
Mm,
try to win an election is very
mm,
disrespectful. One
yeah.
thing I say, Jasmine Crockett, she didn't do that. She
Right.
stood by her views and her policies, and her policy wasn't the greatest, but she had a little bit more decorum about herself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to move on to NYCHA
Yes.
because that's another firebomb that's happening now. He had meetings with tenants, but he left out the NYCHA tenants, and they got upset. And this is what they said. This is what they said.
Wasn't included in the conversation.
Uh-oh. What happened? Hold on a second. Why this lady remove her?
Rental ripoff
There we go.
hearings were created to give renters a platform, a chance to tell city leaders about the conditions they're living in, like lack of heat, leaks, mold, and other dangerous conditions, and to call out bad landlords.
The first town hall meetings he decides to host is about landlords. But he forgot to deal with the landlord in his own backyard.
They claim they weren't directly invited like how other tenant association groups from private buildings were. A City Hall spokesperson says the mayor has been clear that no one will be turned away at the hearings. But NYCHA residents say they've been complaining about housing issues for years and that they also want to be heard. So they held their own meeting in the Bronx at the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club at the Throgs Neck houses. There were about 50 people who showed up. Michelle Solomon, who lives at the Castle Hill houses, was one of them.
Now we have mice and roaches, and they coming from underneath her door. I can't live like that. They're all over my clothes.
Residents say the problems in public housing are some of the worst in the city, and they wanted a seat at the table.
Most of the tenants have tickets that was made for complaints since 2019, and the repairs still haven't been made.
The mayor's office will be rolling out more engagement opportunities specifically focused on NYCHA. But in the meantime, NYCHA residents are welcome to RSVP for the next hearing. And the organizers will be holding this meeting in every borough across the city to gather information from NYCHA tenants. The next one is in Harlem on Thursday. Reporting in Throgs Neck, Michelle Ross, Fox 5 News.
Let me ask you something. Is NYCHA too big to fix?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
It is.
that's what I was like, because this is from years after years after years, it's too big to fix.
Because when you put a Band-Aid on a situation that needs some extensive repairs, what happens when you leave it like that for years?
Right.
It festers and it creates really big problems. And that's what happened. These are, city-owned buildings that were just left neglected. But, I'm just going to say this, shame on the mayor for locking out those residents, because guess what? NYCHA is already being turned over to private developers.
Really?
Yeah, and but this is nothing new. I'm like, this has been talked about from going back to Bill de Blasio when he was sued in the past over the NYCHA lack of NYCHA repairs and the fundings and things like that. I mean, these people really failed, NYCHA residents. And most of the NYCHA residents, I've been into these NYCHA developments. Most of them are seniors. Most of them are disabled, veterans. And, just to see how their living conditions is deplorable, it really saddens me because they have nowhere else to go. And I think that they should have been part of that meeting. I don't know if you know Sia Weaver. She they had like a meeting, I believe it was in Manhattan. Don't quote me on this. I believe it was in Manhattan. And she was talking to some of the residents who had questions about what's going to happen to the NYCHA developments. And she literally stood in front of them when they were like, oh, so they're going to fix the NYCHA apartments, but we're going to lose it. We're going to still have our programs, but we're going to lose the apartments. And she's like, yeah, that's what's pretty much going to happen. And this is someone,
Wow.
it was recorded. I was like disgusted, but we warned people for 10 years that this was going to happen. They want to turn these NYCHA developments into condos. It's a money grab. Okay.
Wow.
And they're going to contract their own people to do the repairs. You know who he's going to contract? The mayor, his own people. Don't think that black people are going to get those jobs. It's not going to happen. But NYCHA is gone. I hate to say it, but it is gone. And you can mark my words on what I'm telling you. That development is no longer going to be just city operated. It's going to be privately operated.
Wow. 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 It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. But you know, we try to warn people, you know, but nobody listens. I want to jump on to the next story, and Dr. Oz. I want to jump on the next story. Dr. Oz has sent Governor Kathy Hochul a letter that they're investigating a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse that people that was receiving services were not American citizens. And let's see what he has to say. Let's see what Dr. Oz has to say.
Per resident was the highest in the country, nearly 80% higher than the national average. Now that alone demands scrutiny, but it gets worse. Personal care services. These help Medicaid patients do something that our families would normally do for us, like carrying groceries. New York State made this screening even more lenient by allowing problems like being easily distracted to qualify for a personal care assistant. And that's led to $45 billion in spending in just over 2 years. New York already has high Medicaid enrollment. And in last year, 5 million beneficiaries, that's nearly 3 out of 4 Medicaid enrollees, received these personal care services. That level of utilization is unheard of and has made personal care services the #1 occupation in New York State. Now, New York has turned this program to help our most vulnerable into a massive jobs program reimbursed by federal taxpayers. Let me touch on 2 other programs. Home health aid payments jumped 65% year over year, twice in a row, even though the number of patients did not increase at that crazy high rate. And adult daycare spending spiked over 100% in the last 3 months, while federal prosecutors uncovered a $68 million fraud scheme involving kickbacks at these adult care centers. Now, this isn't about politics. It's about protecting patients and protecting taxpayers. We owe New Yorkers transparency. We owe beneficiaries integrity. And we owe the American people accountability. When the numbers don't make sense, we ask questions, and we expect an honest answer. Governor Hochul has a month to share a reasonable corrective action plan to fix the fraud, waste, and abuse in New York State, or CMS will start deferring payments to protect Medicaid.
What do you think about that one?
I say it's about time. I've spoken about it previously in my videos.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
I know what's going on, and he is absolutely right about, you know, the payments, what's going on with, first of all, the Bronx has the highest enrollment, 48.4% of Medicaid recipients, okay? It is like a breeding ground for corruption, fraud, and money laundering. And this is what a lot of people don't know. These are your tax dollars, your hard-earned dollars that's supposed to be used to help those who are disabled, those who are elderly. That personal care assistant program is the biggest scam. Anybody can come from overseas over here and pull off a whole scam. See, people are not paying attention to what's going on, but these are your tax dollars, and transparency is important. And it's so sad that we don't have our, you know, this is something the Attorney General is supposed to be addressing. Okay. I don't know if you ever recall an indictment recently that it's all public information, guys. You can go onto the DOJ website where there was a Medicaid CD PAP scam. Billions of dollars was scammed. It was a whole operation. It was like about 15 to 22 people indicted. They were foreigners, of course. And one of the person that I recognized from that indictment, once again, all public, Farah Rubani. She laundered $11.8 million, right? She was indicted. The only thing she paid was a restitution fee, which I thought was kind of strange. I was like, you laundered $11.8 million from the Medicaid CD PAP program, and you only paid like close to what, $200,000 in restitution fees is a little strange, because if it was, somebody else, you're going to get some time, right?
Right.
I saw that she had hosted an event. She's like involved heavily with the politics and stuff. And you can look her up, it's all public. And she hosted a fundraiser for the current Lieutenant Antonio Delgado. She raised money for him, and I called it out. I said, Lieutenant Antonio, I don't think that your team carefully vetted who this woman is. She was indicted for this scam that made the news. It's in the DOJ report. You might want to peel back from her. But it was already too late, because she raised the money. She spoke at his event. I also did a video about that, by the way. You guys can visit my website and check it out for yourselves. I've never been, shy about speaking about these things. But Dr. Oz needs to really, really do the research and the investigation into these alleged scams, because there is money being wasted, and our money is being funneled to people who don't deserve to have these things. And that affects us, that affects seniors, that affects those who really need the care. And I think that at this point, they're going to have to put a freeze on these payments and stuff. The home health care centers is another topic, because they're getting more savvy. People are getting more savvy and more smart. But I suspect that New York and California is going to have the biggest fraud scandal than Minnesota.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we need to start paying attention and really raise awareness about transparency and accountability when it comes to our tax dollars.
Wow. Could it be that's one of the reasons maybe Delgado just dropped out of the race because of the investigation?
Could be. I'm not sure.
Because that took me by surprise when he announced that he wasn't running anymore.
Well, that's a possibility. That's a very good question, and maybe that's something we should all follow up on. I mean, as community advocates, you have to ask these questions, because this is all public. Why would you associate with somebody who, was indicted for laundering millions of dollars, $11.2 million? Okay, this is all in the DOJ report. You would want to distance yourself from that person. So that's a very good question.
Right. That's crazy. That's crazy. See, I mean, that's why, regardless of whatever party, you're in, no state should be a one-party state.
Correct.
Because there's no accountability. It should always be balanced. In no state should be a one-party state. Because that's when the corruption has no oversight.
Correct.
Because whether it's a Republican or Democrat, they do not want to put their own or hold their own accountable or put their own in jail.
Correct.
And there's a lot of, I've seen it for myself in different instances, even in Westchester County. So no party should be a one-party state. But I know you got a lot of time. I want to get this last story, and this is just let me take him out. Because he ain't even supposed to be there.
Well, thank you, Dr. Oz.
Yeah. Listen, accountability is accountability. If you did nothing wrong, then you put the records up, and you being exonerated, right? So that's what it's all about. So
absolutely.
A lot of people don't know, because Black folks we don't really have these conversations. A resolution was introduced by Representative Nancy Mace that will force the House Ethics Committee to publicly release reports about investigations into sexual harassment or sexual relationships between lawmakers and staffers. And Congress voted, and they didn't approve the resolution. The House voted 357 to 65 to send back to the Ethics Committee, which effectively kills the effort to release reports publicly. Now, out of this group, you had all these women that voted to kill the bill. and one of them was your representative, AOC.
Oh yeah, I saw
And,
that.
yeah, and I know you had a lot to say about that, and I just want you to let loose on the show. You know what you said and how it made you feel.
Well, I of course called her out on it because, you know, she went from parading around and saying, "Oh, we have to release the Epstein files and get justice for these victims," accusing the president of being a rapist
Mm-hmm.
and accusing him of other things. And when the time comes to hold your own people accountable, your colleagues, you quickly turn around and block that list from being released. And I can speak for myself because you know my situation and what happened when I worked in NYPD. So for me, it was
Right,
very personal. And it just
right.
goes to show that they're so quick to protect their own instead
Mm-hmm.
of accountability. So yeah, I called her out. I'm like, you of all people, you have the loudest mouth. Okay. You're always saying, oh, you're for the victims, you're for the victims. And then here it is. This is the opportunity for you to hold your colleagues accountable. Make sure these people are literally stripped from being in public office and you turn around and you protect them. It says a lot about her character. And she too will have children one day and that karma.
Right. Absolutely. And for all the other Democrats. Well, listen, not only that, just the women voted against it, period. Whether you
Trust me.
Democrat or Republican to vote against it, like it makes the whole Epstein argument just a
Irrelevant.
bunch of right, because you know, people say, well, we need to know who the predators are. Well, you also need to know who the sexual offenders are that you voted for.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And AOC is getting dragged. I think you should put up the list of people who voted against it, Damon, so that they can see.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. These
these
are
are
the
your
people.
reps.
Hold on, let me try to get him back. Let me try to get it back up. Here we go. These are the people. These are all the people. California, Ohio. These are all the people here. These are all the females. This is the
All
female
women.
list. All women that voted against having the harassment or sexual relationships between lawmakers and staffers released.
Hmm.
You know, these are the people right here. So, you know, if you're representing, let me see, we in New York, you got let me see who's on it. New York, Velasquez, AOC, let me see what else. Ming, MENG. I think that's it. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. You got
I
three.
I think that's a red flag. So we should question whether or not was there any allegations of sexual harassment in their offices. Like, are they,
Exactly.
are they included on that congressional hush money list? I think that we should all raise hell with our elected officials, call their offices, send emails, and demand that that list be released because that is once again taxpayers' money, and we need transparency. And AOC already showed us who she really is. She's what you'll call a person who goes when she sees an opportunity, she flocks to that side, she flocks to the other side. She's all over the place. So clearly, we know that she is not presidential material, and this is a red flag for all of the American people. These are not people that should be allowed to be in office if they're going to protect abusers or cover
Right.
up for
Right.
abusers.
Right. This is well, keep fighting the good fight, sis. I know you got,
Thank
and I
you.
know you're real busy, and I'm blessed just to have you for a
Thank you.
couple of minutes to come on the show. Thank you as always. How can people follow you on social media? What are your tags?
Well, you can find me on Twitter. It's Latina Brown, Lattina, like the color brown. You can find me on Instagram, same thing. You can find me on YouTube, Latina Brown. I'm on all social media platforms, and I'm learning from Damon. We're very vocal. And you know what? We hold both sides accountable, because it's not just one side I'm going to go after. I'm going to also go after the other side too. So I'm learning from you, Damon.
Hey, you doing a great job. You're doing a great job. And as always, sis, I thank you for coming on, and have a blessed day. And we'll be talking soon. Okay.
Take care. Be well.
Thank you. And that's it, brothers and sisters. That's it for the Publisher's Desk. And I want to thank Latina Brown for being the guest today. It was a great conversation, and we have to hold both sides accountable. Both sides must be accountable. And check us out on Sunday. Please come on Sunday. The People Before Politics show. Myself, AJ Woodson, Larnez Kinsey, for the Sunday Rundown, Black Westchester magazine, powered by blackwestchester.com. It is the news with the Black point of view. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, and stay Blacktastic. Peace out.
Serious about political clarity and independent thinking. This is for you. The Political Thought Bundle includes 3 full books, all personally singling. Democrats and Republicans, The Ultimate Gangbangers, breaks down how the two-party system operates like a legalized street war for power. Emotional Politics, Logical Failure exposes how emotion has replaced strategy in Black political engagement. Tolerance is for Cowards lays out a blueprint for extended policing and community-led public safety rooted in outcomes rather than slogans. 3 signed books. 1 bundle, $60. That's a $75 value. And you're getting signed copies included. This isn't left versus right. It's results versus rhetoric. Go to twosteppublishing.com and secure your signed Political Thought Bundle today. It's going to be Blacktastic. Its own economy, under segregation, under discrimination, and under conditions most people today cannot imagine. We built businesses. We built banks. We bought land and property. In The Forgotten Blueprint, Damon K. Jones reveals how Black communities created thriving economic systems from 1800 to 1965, and why that blueprint still matters today. This book challenges the idea that our future depends on politics alone, and shows how ownership, family, and enterprise once powered Black prosperity. The blueprint is not lost. We just stopped using it. The Forgotten Blueprint, how Black America built its own economy from 1800 to 1965. On sale now at Two-Step Publishing and Amazon. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like and share it with others who need to hear the truth. And for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes access, join the Black Westchester Magazine YouTube membership club today. Your support helps us keep independent Black media strong. Support independent Black media with style. Rock Black Westchester merch and represent the news with the Black point of view. Every purchase helps us speak truth to power. Thank you to everyone who supported us through Super Chat. Your contributions keep independent media alive and thriving. We couldn't do it without you. For over a decade, Black Westchester Magazine has been giving our community a voice, reporting the stories others ignore, holding power accountable, and making sure the truth about our communities is told by us. But independent Black media only survives when the community supports it. If you believe in real journalism, community accountability, and keeping Black voices strong in local news, we need your help. Your donation helps us continue covering the stories that matter: politics, education, justice, and economic empowerment right here in Westchester. Support Black media, support Black truth, support Black Westchester Magazine. Donate today and help keep Black media alive. Because Black-owned independent media is Blacktastic. Black Westchester Magazine presents People Before Politics, the Sunday Rundown, every Sunday at 6 p.m. on YouTube. Join Damon K. Jones, AJ Woodson, and Larnez Kinsey as they break down the biggest stories in politics, culture, and community from a Black point of view. No spin, no party loyalty, just logic, accountability, and outcomes. If it impacts Black America, we're talking about it. Tap in, subscribe, set your reminder. This Sunday at 6 p.m. is going to be Blacktastic.
This is the Publisher's Desk with Damon K. Jones, brought to you by Black Westchester Magazine, where life, culture, community, and faith meet truth, power, and purpose.